How you doing? I was about to go speak. I was asking what you were.
You all right?
All right.
7 o'clock soccer.
So good morning, everybody. So just review schedule. Just to review schedule. No, there's no after the Daf. Review schedule. We already got 1.5. But it should take us around 20 minutes because of the Shem.
Oh,
So tomorrow there is no shear. We'll be, but we're doing tomorrow's right now, and then tomorrow there's a bris.
Oh, bris is 7:30.
Tomorrow davening at
7 o'clock.
sure 7 o'clock. Shachar, so then followed by a bris. All right.
Should I be the sounding?
We'll see. All right.
He's gonna be with someone that had to be a television.
All right, so we left off.
What page?
The bottom of
So actually, we got to the 2 dots at the bottom. So actually, the top of Lama Daled on the base. Actually, today is Daf Lama Daled.
Oh,
So it's only a few lines. So we're gonna do tomorrow's. You have a Gemara? You go. Okay, just make sure. Okay, no, you're good. You're good. I just want to make sure you have one. All right, fine. Hahu Arba. So there was a boat. The Havi Minsuala Betray. 2 people were arguing over ownership of this boat. Hi, Amar Didi. He were Lama Daled Amad Beis, right on top.
yeah.
Amad Beis, the next page.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, come.
So one guy says, "How is Havi Minsuala Betray?" So hi, Amar Didi. He behi Amar Didi. He once says it was mine, and the other guy says it was his. So Asu Chadminayu, the Beidina. So all of a sudden, this case is brought to Beidin. So one guy approaches the Beidin. V'amar Kipsua, go ahead and please hold on to it. Go ahead and take possession. Until I go ahead and bring witnesses that it's mine, and therefore you guys will release it to me, and the other guy can go ahead and take a hike. So the question is, Tafsinan, Tafsinan. Do we go ahead and seize it in this case while they're each trying to go ahead there to maintain their proof, or do we not? Or do we not get involved? Do we allow them to go ahead and sort of fight it off or call them and go back? As we'll soon see. And Rav Huna, so Rav Huna Amar Tafsinan, we do go ahead and take it. And Rav Yehuda Amar Loi Tafsinan, we do not go ahead and possess it or repossess it, right? Possess it, I guess. Takes
possession.
Right. It takes possession until it's figured out.
Adjudicated.
So Rav Huna says you go ahead and do it. It's a good idea.
Why? Tell us. Why would Dixon do it?
I'm sorry?
Why would we need one of the litigants?
So we'll soon see why Rav Yehuda's his really psak, why we don't go ahead and take possession of it, is really connected to the next. Because Azav, let's see this next slide. Azav la'ashkach. So let's say the guy went and says, hold it for 30 days, a couple of weeks, and get my witnesses that they saw me when I purchased it, and it's mine. He couldn't find the Saudi, he couldn't find the witnesses. Go ahead and release it. Right? And therefore, at that point, like whoever either can be the best proof, or whoever can go ahead and lock it up first or take it first, it will be that person's, and that person will be the muhsak until the other person is able to go ahead and bring proof to remove it, or the person's done with it. So do we mafkinan or mafkinan? Do we go ahead and release it now back to whoever Kolim Davar or not? So Rav Yehuda says we do not. In other words, once Beis Din goes ahead and takes it, they can't release it without releasing to somebody. They can't just go ahead and say, okay, you know what, we don't know what it is. We're releasing it back to Hefker, and you guys fight it out. They can't do that. So therefore, Rav Yehuda was the opinion before, says, don't even take it in the first place. Even when the guy says, hey, hold on to it so until I get witnesses, we don't do it because we're concerned. Perhaps you won't bring witnesses, and then Beis Din is not allowed to go ahead and release it. They have to hold on to it, right, forever. And Rav Papa says you could go ahead and release it. The Hilchasa and the halachas like Rav Yehuda lei tafsinan. We don't go ahead and take it in the first place. But if for some reason they did, then loy mefkina. Then we do not go ahead and release it to the psak of kol the elim gvar. Right, whoever is stronger will take over, because obviously neither one of theirs is muhsak, right? It's so at that point they each claim it's theirs. So there's no other psak, but I guess first come first serve, or whoever's stronger gets it, or finders keepers, losers weepers. So the Gemara is going to actually get into that right now. The Gemara is going to say why is this the case? Kol den Gvar. We'll soon see, yeah.
You gotta get.
Oh, man. Wow.
That's probably get people.
Well, even Yachlokali, I mean, you could say, you sell it and each one gets half the proceeds. So let's see, 3 lines in the bottom of the base. One guy says my father, the other guy says his father's. Some of Nachman.
Talking about land now.
I'm sorry?
He's talking about land, not both.
Right, right. Anything in general. Bein B'Sfina, Bein B'Karka. Rashi says either one, right? You look at Rashi or the Rashbam, right? 4 lines at the bottom, right? Bein B'Sfina, Bein B'Karka, Bein Edus V'Chazaka, Lezeh Yaisim Izeh, right? Whether it's land or both or any other item. So each one says theirs, and Amar Rav Nachman, Kol Den Gvar, right? So in this case, whoever goes ahead and takes possession of it, whether it's by Kayach, whether it's by Rayas, whatever it is, he goes ahead and takes it. Now he's the muchzak. It doesn't go ahead and, once the one guy has possession, the other guy can't go ahead and now take it from his house in the middle of the night. The other guy comes back 2 weeks later. It's not a non-stop thing. It's whoever gets it first, it remains with him. He's now the muchzak unless the other person go ahead and bring proof. So why is that case? So what's the difference between this? Let's say I have a book, right? Great Jews in sports. And they give a shtar matana. I give it to Alan Gershman, right? It's signed for Thursday, July 25th. And Alan Sorsher also has one that he received it, this same book, right, on July 25th. So such a game is the Rav Omar Yachloku. Rav over there says, you know what, Yachloki, each one of them have a star or a deed, all right, or whatever. This is not right for that day. It's a piece of land that says it was given to Alan on that day, and it was also given to Alan on that day. Each one, right? Gershman and Sorcerer, right? So we say Yachloku, divide it. Divide the land in that case, because when it comes to deeds, we'll soon see, it doesn't make a difference that even if you go ahead and there's proof that it was given to Gershman in the morning and given to Sorcerer in the afternoon, it doesn't mean it's given there, because it could be that the deed is really for the day, because since we don't write in the documents what time of day it was, so therefore that is not, it doesn't go by the time. Right, it goes by, and it could be that he gave it over, and then the person was chayzer for whatever reason, and then gave it to the other person. So the deed is not really done until the end of the day. So therefore, in such a case, we say yachloku, and Shmuel Amar shuda. Over there, we depend on the judges. They can go ahead and assess the situation. And perhaps, who, if we get into his mind, who did he really give it to? What was his intentions? And therefore, they'll reward one of them. So over there, it's either Yachloku or Shudainu. But neither one of them say, like Rav Nachman says, Kol dem Gavar. So why is this different? Why is Rav Nachman, so what's he coming to change? So when it says, no, Hasam, like the Milsa. Over there, right? In other words, over there, we know the facts of the case. So therefore, right, there's no new information that's going to come out that's really going to be one or the others, right? We know the guy, he gave the possession to both, so who did he like better? Who did he really intend to? What was the reason why he gave the gift? So therefore, there wasn't a real way to find out whose it was. And therefore, so that's the reason in that case, either Yachloku or Shuddadaini. But in our case, right, Hacha, Milsa. Over here, it's one guy says it's mine, I bought it, and the other guy says I bought it. So if we really go back and get witnesses and evidence and all that, we can actually find out whose it is. So therefore, in that case, right, we're able to go ahead and release it to them, because one of them ultimately could go ahead and find out, says Rav Nachman, and figure out whose it was, and therefore, even if the other guy claimed it, right, took it, a person can remove it with proof from the muksa.
By how hard the guy could have brought proof who bought the boat. Like he said, he was looking for aid, he was trying to find it.
Right. So, but then they released it. Really over there, it's called
they can't buy the item. But let's say he found it a week later, they can't. They were out.
Right. So it was there. So once they had, so he would take it. He just wanted to hold it, but Rav Nachman would say in that case also called it Gvar. In that case, he says, "Oh, take it. Let me take a timeout from that whole Kol Dem Gvar, because I don't have people to help me schlep the boat or whatever it is to tow it. I don't want him to take it. Just hold on to it while I get my my ducks in a row." he wasn't able to do it. So then it went reverted back to Kol Dvar, at least according to was a Rav Papa, who said you can go ahead and release it. So Gar says, well, my in this case, the we're going to Mishnah Hamakli Para B'Chabar V'Yalda. So I go ahead and I change. Let's say I make a switch with Eddie. I said, okay, a donkey for Eddie. I need your donkey. You take my cow. It's actually pregnant, right? So we'll switch. You go ahead. You make a kinyan on the chamor. We go back to find the cow, or I take your donkey and you want my shivcha, pregnant. And then we make a kinyan on I make a kinyan on the donkey. You go back to go ahead and get your cow or your shivcha, the yelda, and it gives birth. So I said, oh, the animal or the shivcha gave birth before, and therefore, when the time you made the kinyan, when I made the kinyan on the donkey, the baby was already born, and the baby's mine. It wasn't yours. And you claim, right? No. You did the kinyan, and after the kinyan, therefore I acquired the pregnant shivcha or the pregnant cow, and therefore the vlad is mine. Right, so therefore we're arguing over in that case who does the vlad belong to. We weren't there, and you said actually take out those words. I don't want to say each one is a shema of a shema. But just say that this one zelmer actually macharti yalda v'zelmer mishlakachti yalda yachloku. In that case, we divide it. So once again, in that case, how over there in that case? Why is that case yachloku? Why isn't it called en gvar? Right? Why do we say in that case Reb Nachman?
They both don't know.
Right. So if that case is Shema V'Shema, let me just say, I was thinking.
The sale took place in the office.
Right.
The cow was born in the barn.
So
don't know.
So the car they don't know.
One of the animals was taken possession of.
The chamor, right?
The chamor.
The shivcha.
The chamor.
So therefore we see, but we don't know.
He pulls the chamor. The other guy takes possession of the
right possession, but it wasn't here. It was in the other. It was in the barn, or she was in the in the service house. Right, the hospital. All right.
Okay.
So why is that different? So why says no? Hasam lahai isle the mina ulaha. He said the Ramayana. Each one has really a claim to the money. In other words, in that case, right? Eddie's saying it could be mine because if it gave birth, right? If it gave birth afterwards, the Vlad is mine. And I say, no, the Vlad is definitely mine because is mine because it gave birth before, right? But in the case of when they're arguing over land or over that, neither one is a claim. It's either one or the others, right? It's either you bought this land or you bought a different piece of land that you're getting mixed up, right? Or a different boat. You got mixed up. You didn't buy the Misty May. You bought the Tom's River. Oh, that's the name of the boat, right? Right. So you bought the wrong boat. But and therefore you have zero claim to this. Over here, each one has a claim to it. It's very possible for each one they have a road to ownership to it, right? It just happens they give birth before or after, and that's how it works. But over here, it's either one guy is 100% and the other guy is 0% without the possibility, or it's the other guy is 100% and the other one's 0% without the possibility. So therefore, in that case, we say yachloku. We don't say
okay.
So in that case, with his jar Ramona, we say yachlokum. So haka idamar lo idamar v'idamar lo idamar. And Amar 3 lines on top. Amar hardia in bo echad min ashuk v'hichzik bo. Let's say okay, call David Gvar, right? So this boat is relay, waiting for one of them to go ahead. And somebody else says, okay, I know these two guys are fighting over it. I'll go ahead and chop it, right? They can't go ahead and remove it. Neither one can go ahead and say, hey, why did you take that boat? It's mine, because he doesn't have a rightful claim to it. And the other guy doesn't have a rightful claim to it. All right. And and then there's a case, let's say they come together. We've seen in other cases, let's say they come together, give it to us, right? Because it's either one of ours, but they don't have proof. So therefore, the Tanya Reb Chia, Gazlan shall Rabbim, person goes ahead and steals something which is owned by the Rabbim. Lav Shemei Gazlan. He's not a Gazlan. All right. In other words, so he's can go ahead and keep it. So the Gemara says, Rav Ashi Amar, no. L'yelam Shemei Gazlan. He is the Gazlan, like everything. What does it mean? He's not a Gazlan. Well, my lo Shemei Gazlan shlo nitin le'yeshiva. Right, le'yeshiva. He can't go ahead and return it. Normally, the Haitian is like Zela. You can go ahead and fix up your Zela by returning it to the rightful owner. Over here, there's no rightful owner, so you can't go ahead and be Yaitse, your full tshuva, not to be a Gazlan, because you can't return it. You can't return it to him. So therefore,
somebody else who would.
he's not Yaitse his returning of the item. Fine, 2 dots, third of the way down. So now he said to the Mishnah, Chazkasan Shalosh Shanim Miyayim Liyam, a field which is in constant use. So therefore, it's not a seasonal thing, more of constant use. You got to use it for 3 years, day to day. And Amar Rabbi Abba and Idola Ihu Kufe, son of Peri, Lealti Rabbi Chazaka. Excuse me. If the now let's say Mayor is on my land, and Mayor, so I said, what are you doing on my land? And he was making a chazaka there, and I said, no, it's my land. I made a macha. So let's say there's witnesses to me schlepping fruit for Mayor. Okay. And this is, let's say, in year 1. Once there's witnesses of me schlepping fruit for Mayor, now it was my land before, it was known to be my land before, and Mayor's been using it for a number of years. And so he's on the land, he says, what do you mean? I've been here, I made a chazak, he's been here for 3 years. So, and the reason why is beyond 3 years, he's not expected to hold on to the deed, but during the 3 years, he was there and there was no machal. But if there's witnesses that I was helping, and I was the previous owner, I was helping him schlep the fruit, therefore he don't need 3 years anymore, right? Whose is the land? Yoel's, but Yoel is helping Mayor on the land. Obviously, Yoel sold it to Mayor, and therefore that you don't need to go ahead and do 3 years in that case, because the one who would protest was helping the person with the payros. Therefore, son of the alter havi chazaka. Immediately, it would be a chazaka.
Yeah, but he kind of rented it for the day.
Let's see. Very good. Let's see. Samarav Zvid v'im ton v'amar lepayros aridasav. Neman. If the guy said, no, yeah, I was helping me, of course, right? Because I gave him a month contract or a year contract, so go ahead. And he had helped the field like a sharecropper, and so I helped him do it. Of course, he was on my land, but it was my land. I never sold him the land. So therefore, if I make that claim, right, and then I am believed to say that he was only doing the sharecrop, and therefore he wouldn't need the full years. That's only during the 3 years about liacha shalosh. But if I make this claim after the 3 years, low, then not, because then Mayor is no longer expected to have the deed with him. So therefore, it all has to be within 3 years, because if it's beyond 3 years, even if I say it's Lepeiros, okay, so Mayor shows your deed. Well, why would I show you the deed? It was already over 3 years ago. So therefore, it has to be within the 3 years. So I'm going I understand. So if, let's say I go ahead and rent out, right? I rent out Mayor, I lease it for the year. So how do I go ahead and prevent it, right? What am I supposed to do? So I have to go ahead and make a protest. Mayor's working my field for a year. At some point, I'm going to say, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor has rented the field for a year. He has a lease on the land for a certain amount of years. And that which you see him on the land is not because I sold it to him. Rather, it's because we have a sharecropping agreement. If you don't say this, Hani Mashkanasa de Surah. So Mashkanasa de Surah, which actually we saw yesterday, right? In case, let's say I lend somebody money and he's not really going to have the cash to pay back. So what do I do? How does he pay me back? So he pays it back by letting me work his field a certain amount of years, right? So in such a case, if I'm working his field for more than 3 years to be paid back my loan, people see me working the land for 3 years, I can go ahead and claim, I bought the land and I got rid of the deed because I don't need it anymore. And everyone saw me working the land for the last 3 years, right? So how do you prevent the person in the case of Mashkanasa de Surah, this type of Mashkan? The cost of the Mishalim Shania.
Paying back by working the land.
Well, he's paying him back by allowing the guy to use the land. In other words, I lend you money, right? I lend you money, so you have to pay me back. You don't have money to pay me back. So what are you going to do? You let me work your field and every year I make $1,000 off the field. So therefore I lent you $5,000 and you let me work your field for 5 years to get the $5,000 back. And the end, as the Gemara says right now, because of the Mishalim Shana, right? Once the years are done, Ilan Tepik are delay below Kesef. Right, that the land will go back without any other money coming back, because basically the repayment of the loan was done through the produce of the field. And he covers the Shtamash, and if he goes ahead, the guy lent the money. Let's say hides a document that that this is the reason why I was in the field was because it was a loan. And then he says, the reason why I bought it, right? Hey, right? So why didn't I believe there, right? So no, it's Masakin Rabbanim either that's what they say that. Right? Is it possible that the Chazal would go ahead and say, hey, this is a type of new mashka, they can go ahead and do it. Would they go ahead and approve such a thing? Rather, what should I do? Even in the case of Mashkan the Surah, when Eddie allows me to work his field for 5 years to get back to $5,000, he should make a public protest. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, Yoel is working my field because he lent me money, and this is my repayment of the loan. So too in this case, if I'm going ahead and allow a mayor to use my field, I'm leasing his field, I should go ahead and make a machal. And one last case we'll get into. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Yisrael haba machmas akum hareu ka'akum. A Jew who bought a land from Akum, right, from a non-Jew, he has the laws, basically the same laws as the Akum. What do you mean? Ma Akum eno chazaka. So an Akum doesn't have a chazak. So let's say I go ahead and sell. Let's say I sell something to Jack, right? A guy named Jack, right? So let's say if there was a guy on my field, so a person might not necessarily go ahead and make a machal, right? Could be scared of him, right? So not to make a machal. So therefore, people generally don't make a machal. So therefore, an akum who's on a field, someone's not going to protest it. Mm-hmm. So therefore, since someone's not going to protest them because they're scared, okay, so therefore, we'll say that them having a chazaka is ineffective, right? Because the whole point of chazaka is people will say, hey, what are you doing on my field? If someone is scared to go to Paulie and the other heads of the the mafia, right, who are in the field, they're scared to do it. So what? You're scared to say something to them so they can just take over a field because you're scared? So therefore, we say that chazaka do not work by akal. All right, because we're scared to make a macha, and if you don't have a macha, then the chazaka you can't initiate the chazaka works. Therefore, in order for them to prove ownership, they have the deed. They have to have title. But only with a star. So too, if I go ahead and purchase a field from Akum, then also eno chazak. Then my chazaka doesn't work. Right, elabishtar, only through a star, because it could have been a Jews from before. So therefore, just like the guy would have to go ahead and prove his ownership of the deed, so too I would. And Amarava, the Amar Yisrael, the DD, right? The DD Amar Makal Mohammed. And let's say the guy says, so let's say the guy's name is John, right? And John bought the field from Eddie, right? And John bought the field from Eddie, and then John sold it to me, right? So John is an akum. He got it from Yisrael. So over there, if the guy told me, so the Muhammad. So now I say, hey, John told me he bought the field from Eddie. So therefore, since I know it will be like there was a middleman, but ultimately it was Eddie who sold it and me who bought it, maybe the chazaka should work. And therefore, he is Mammon, and therefore the chazaka would be sufficient. So the Gemara says, no, right? If the guy, right, if he doesn't have that, then he can't say he got it from there. So why would the fact that he told me and I say it, right, be believed? Right? So I'm coming from the Kayach of the other Kachavim. So Ella, rather, what does he say? Ella Marava, Amar Yisrael. But if the guy, if I say in this case, right, that if I tell Eddie, basically, Eddie said, what are you doing on the land? I said, I bought it from the guy who bought it from you. But if I say I was there when the guy bought it from you, the Zavni and Eli, and then he sold it, he went ahead and then he sold it to me. Mehaman, then I believe. Why? Because since I can say I bought the land from you and I've been on for 3 years, right? Because over here, Eddie's saying, oh, your chazaka doesn't work because you bought it from a guy. So I'll say, no, that guy bought it from you. And therefore, I know the guy bought it from you, and then I saw that, and I bought it from him. So therefore, it comes back to a Jew being the seller and a Jew being the buyer. Therefore, chazaka does work. Therefore, because Migo, I could say, I just bought it from you, and I've been on for 3 years, you didn't say anything. So too, believe me when I say, I actually saw you sell it to John, and John sold it to me, and now I have a chazaka, and therefore it's mine, and therefore that such a person would be believed. All right, we'll stop here. Shkach, everybody. So Hashem, Wednesday. Everyone have a wonderful day.